Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Guillermo from Angelus Apatrida to talk about the self-titled brand new record just released on February 5th on Century Media. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Nice to meet you, Pedro. Super happy to be here with you.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure. Thank you for taking the time. So now that the album is out and you've had a few days to digest the whole thought process of having this new album out there to the masses, what feedback have you been receiving from the fans on this record?
We're really happy with the feedback from fans. We were already knowing the opinion and the feedback from the media, from specialized for journalists all over the world, and it was already very, very good all over the world. But yeah, we couldn't wait until the album was out and know exactly what the fans, especially not only the old school fans, or the every time fans of Angelus, but the new fans, because we knew that there will be a lot of new people listening to Angelus for the first time. And yeah, just in these few days, we all agree that we're super happy with the reaction, and the feedback is very, very good. I think it's much better than expected. I have to say, we would have been not afraid, but we would have been nervous about this aggressive album, because the people, Angelus fans, are more used to have like 50% of doses, like 50% aggressiveness, 50% of melody, and more catchy heavy metal. At this time, it's 100% energy, and yeah. So we were a bit like this, and but no, come on, it's like I could say that 99% of feedback is really, really good, and it makes us really, really happy.
What was the reason behind naming the album, going with a self-titled album, I should say? Because normally self-titles brings a lot of expectations. You know what I mean? It almost represents for the band that you've reached the top of the mountain and you've planted your flag there. Does this album have a little bit of that feel for you guys? Is that why you went with self-titled?
Well, maybe it's not that important, but yeah, it's kind of highlights. It's kind of reaching point in our career. But to be honest, it happened like in a accidental way. We were super focused on the writing process and producing the album, and we got a lot of time for entering the studio because of the pandemic. So it's the first time that we finished the whole album, and we didn't think about the title of the album. So it was like, okay, everything is finished. We're gonna start working on the artwork. So okay, what's gonna be the name of this album? And it was like, wow, I didn't thought about this. No idea. So yeah, just doing like small brainstorming and knowing that this album would be like a new card invitation for newer fans for knowing the band. And we do know that our name band is not very easy to pronounce and of course easy to remember. We thought that, okay, every band has their own self-titled album. Sometimes it's the first album of the band. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, as you say, it's like some reaching point, some like a highlight point in their career. And this time it's like, it was, the last year was the 20th anniversary of the band. Okay, not the band itself, but we were playing together for 20 years since we were kids. So it was kind of a beautiful thing to do, like naming this album. And of course, we were living through this pandemic and all the bad situations we had. So yeah, it was kind of a cool thing to name this. Why not? It's like, okay, there will be a lot of people just forced to pronounce and remember the name of the band. Finally,
it's a great marketing tool. You know what I mean? Because it forces everybody to say the name of the band twice.
Exactly, or at least once. At least once. It's like once you pronounce it, you got both. You get the name of the band and the title of the album. So, and I think that the marketing plan already was very successful because every single body is pronouncing the name perfectly all over the world. So it's like, yes. We did it.
So it was finally got there.
yeah, of course. So it's very, very, very important for us to for people to remember the band, because we know that it happens sometimes. I said, yeah, I know this band from Spain, but I cannot remember the name. It's like, why? Come on. There are a lot of bands everywhere that with very, very strange name, and you remember them. Why don't you remember? But why don't you remember Apatrida, Angelus Apatrida? Like, yeah. So yeah, I think that finally we made it, and of course it's it's kind of we changed some things in the music. We I think that we are a step one step higher with this new album. So yeah, why not? We can. That's the self-titled.
That leads me into my next question, which is when you look at this record, or when you look at the records from the band, are the records of the band a snapshot, a picture of where you guys were at that time, or are
Exactly.
all of them a little bit of a step towards where you want to be, or maybe perhaps both?
Maybe both, but of course, it's exactly a snapshot of what we are exactly at the time we're recording that, like technically and musically, everything. So yeah, it sometimes happens that when the album is released, like a lot of months, even 1 year later than we recorded the album, it happened with the previous album, Hidden Evolution, that it was recorded in May, but it was released in January of the next year. Then it's like, okay, there are a lot of new things coming during all these months. But yeah, it's the best we can do at that moment. The day we enter the studio is the best we can perform and the best we can write. So yeah, it's exactly the snapshot of what is the band. We're not thinking about what's gonna happen next. We try to do the best we can, and we try to put everything together in the studio in that moment. So and then after, yeah, tell me.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say that then the day the album is released, we start to think about all the mistakes, all the things that we need to improve. So it's like, and
All the
it
things you did
always,
wrong.
yeah, and it always happens like, okay, I don't want to listen to this album anymore, but it's already released. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna start working on something new, and that year or 2 years after releasing the new album, we go on tour and we spend the whole the whole time touring. So we learn a lot of new things. We try to learn from other bands, from other professional people. We try to improve, and since from the music, with the English, with everything, technically, musically, everything. So, and then the next time we enter the studio with the new songs, we try to put all of this together. So this is how we think that we're like in a very small bet, like progression like this, because in our opinion, every album is better than the other one. It's more professional. It's better technically. It's better musically, in our opinion, because we're always trying to improve and learn from everything around us.
How much time do you guys need, or when do you start the process of putting a record together before you enter the studio? Like for this record, how long before going into the studio did you guys start working on this album?
Normally, we're always rushing with this because we spend a lot of time touring, because this is our full-time job, so we have to tour a lot. So normally we don't have enough time for stopping and thinking about the new album. We just do it. We just start composing while touring, and we just just take 1 month and then go to the studio and do everything. This time we got all the time we needed because of the pandemic. So and we already started composing songs by the end of 2019. We already got like 2-3 almost finished songs, and so yeah, when in March we have to cancel every tour, every single show, we got a lot of time for focusing and just writing new music, producing it. And the studio, we spent like almost 2 months. I wish we could have more time for that, but I think it was the time this album got more time than ever for recording and producing it. But normally we do the same. It's just that we're always so busy touring that we don't have enough time for staying at home and producing the music the way we did this time. But one thing that we learned this time is that we're going to do this for the rest of the albums, for the upcoming albums. We're going to try to do this, like stopping and having enough time for producing and just like redoing riffs, replaying, recording the demos. This is the first time we could record a full demo with vocals for the first time. So before entering the studio, we already got the
Yeah, you have a skeleton of what you want.
exactly. And the labels and 2D Media got it, and we could set into Zeus for having a rough idea of what would be the new album. So it was the first time doing this, and we need to improve this for the next time. Try to save more time for doing this and doing much better, because I think it's a very good formula And for the next time, if we do it with much with more time, we can make a much better production in the album.
I also, it's going to give you more time to think about all the mistakes you've made and all the things that are wrong and all the things that you can change.
Of course, yeah, and we pay a lot of attention to the constructive reviews. So everybody just, I mean, we don't pay attention for destructive people just saying bullshit about our music. It's like we don't waste that time. But we really pay attention for constructive critics about the music. It's like it's very important for us, not only from our manager or our booking agency or our label, and even our closest friends, but from the media. I mean, especially the media and the people, we really pay a lot of attention for this in order to try to know if it fits with what we think that there are our mistakes, for example, or things that we can improve for the next time. So yeah, it's very important for us, and we really appreciate that.
I just think that when you have too much, I mean, for this album, you had a lot more time than you had for the previous ones. And I can see you sometimes perhaps having a hard time to see the forest from the trees, because when you're working on the music, it's hard to take a step back and have an outside look into what you are doing. So I think you have to find that happy medium between being creative, doing what you need to do, and at the same time not overthink it and spend too much time criticizing yourself for the work that you've put forward.
No. I have to say that we don't have. If we finish one song, that song it's like this. I mean, yeah, that's it. We don't listen to it over and over again. Try to improve this riff, or at least this is the way I compose. David sometimes. I think it's a mistake that he sometimes do is that he does this sometimes. You're like, okay, I need to improve this and this, and at the end it's like spending 1 month working in the new song, and then you go back to the first riff you got or the first option you got because it was the best. And I learned this from the past, and I learned it from other artists who say this. It's like sometimes the first thing comes to your mind is the best. So just stick to that and try not to overthink about this. And I heard this from smaller bands, and I heard it from superstars, like big bands, that just having a chat, drinking a beer together, and says like, yeah, sometimes when you get this riff here or you got this vocal melody here, if it is the first that comes to your head, stick to that. Don't overthink about this. And I try to do this as much as I can. So no, I wanted to say like having more time for finding the sound maybe, or the structure, like the parts. How sometimes I got like a 6 or 7 minute songs, and I just cut it like in 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and it's good to have enough time for doing this, like having a long song, and then just like this song I think that there are too much things, and I can put the same things in 3 minutes and a half or 4 minutes, for example. And it happened in a couple of songs in this album, for example. But yeah, as I told you before, I need to improve this, of course, for the next time, like trying to use better the time I have for composing and producing the music, and try not to overthink it sometimes.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I felt that was really important about this record is that I felt that this was an album that was driven straight to the point. It's not an album that kind of shows you one hand, but then he gives you something else. What it is what it is. There's nothing hidden in the record. It's a record that has a lot of power. The way it starts strong, stays strong all the way through. Is there one thing specifically that you attribute to that overall strength of sound and power that this album has?
Wow, I don't know. And I think it's completely accidental, because actually it's the first time that we were able to choose the songs that would be finally in the record. I mean, we composed 12 songs, and we just make a decision of the 10 songs that we liked the most. We didn't think about doing the most aggressive or more energetic album. It was like a coincidence doing this. Actually, both songs that were out from the album that I hope that we can release in the future, because they are really, really good songs, are like more catchy, more melodic, maybe. Let's see how they turn in the future. But it came the way it came. I mean, we didn't think about doing an album like this. I think that all the bad emotions or all the bad feelings that we were living through the last year just influenced a lot, making like more aggressive riffs. But it's like we composed it the way every time we composed. I mean, there was nothing special for this. So I know that we wanted to make something heavier and faster. Since we were started composing last year, 2 years ago, in 2019, the first riffs came already very speedy, like very, very powerful. But I think it's something that came like suddenly with the day we decided to tune half step down in the guitars, and actually everything started to sound like deeper. And
yeah, I was just going to say the guitar sound on the album sounds very chunky. I call it chunky.
chunky, yeah.
But I love it though. It has life. It has this power built into it. So it's almost like you can make a heavy song because the sound is heavy. Not necessarily the riffs are heavy, but the overall sound is heavy. And that's where I call it that chunkiness that the guitars have.
Yeah. But there is a very funny thing with this. It's like it's the first time that we use the less gear and no software at all for recording this. Because normally we try to use the different amplifiers with this in order to try to find this and this and this. This time we used our gear like EV8, just EV8 with different cabinets, but the same cabinet with a smaller one and a bigger one. And there's no software. I mean, there's no reamp. It's like the closer you can get to a show of
live performance.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly how we sound on stage. And there's of course there are like 4-6 very good microphones, and of course there is the hands of Zeus, which is like just a fucking master with this. But yeah, this is one thing that we talk him is like we want this album to sound the most natural and organic possible. Like we would like to not use any software, like not triggers, not reamps, not software for the guitars, all that stuff that normally we used in the past because we didn't have enough time for recording or for having a very good sound. Then you have to make some tricks with reamps and all the stuff. So yeah, this is the first time that we do this, and it's like the sound it's magical. I mean, it's the first time we work with Zeus, and I think it's a good starting point for that. He's also very happy with the sound of the album, and it's like, of course, it's not the same at any, but I sometimes compare this like the first time I heard Vulgar Display of Power from Pantera in the early 90s when I was a kid. There were a lot of very produced and already compressed albums, like heavy albums, and Vulgar Display of Power was like just like the covers. It was just like a fucking punch on your face, like this, and super raw, like raw energy. Like this is what it is, and that's all. So this is what we were discussing with Zeus for doing with this album. It's like, okay, it's impossible to sound like Pantera, of course, and we acknowledge them, and we're not gonna record this amazing album, but we would like to something like this, like super raw, like natural, organic, and we try the best, and I think that the result is good enough.
Yeah, I was listening to the record, and I'm a big fan of the old school like thrash metal of that era because it was not overly produced. It felt like when you're listening to an album, like if you're listening to Testament, Pantera, whoever, Exodus, Anthrax from that era, when you listen to one of their albums, it almost feels like you're listening to them live because it's almost the same sound. It's not overly polished. It's more organic, more raw. But this album, you guys were able to capture that, but at the same time, it still has this more modern feel to it. So it's almost like you guys have a foot in the past and then a foot in the future, not even in the present. And that allows the album to be a little bit more dynamic, to have a little bit more life. Was that all achieved in the studio?
I think it's thanks to Zeus. I think that he knows what he's doing. Of course, this is why he's one of the best producers in the United States, I would say. And this is why we wanted to work with him, because it's one of my favorite producers right now. We made a very, very good work in the studio. The recording sessions were super smooth. It took a lot of time for having a perfect sound for us, and of course, thanks to our engineer, to Juana Lopez and his studio. But I think it's all thanks to Zeus. I mean, we just released what we can do, just recording, and whatever is going through the microphones and is recorded is the same thing that we sent to Zeus. And the first when Zeus sent us the first reference mix, we were like blown away. Yeah, I remember that day, only one mix, and it was like, looks like this guy knows us for all his life. And it was the first time we were knowing each other, and he already got what we wanted. So it was crazy. I mean, it's like, wow, working with this guy, it's amazing. So yeah, the first master reference we got, we listened to that in the studio, and the engineer was like, dude, this is fucking amazing. I don't know I don't understand what the fact he made, but this is incredible. It's like, wow. Yeah, we're super happy, and this we're very happy with this because we understand that we just open a new gate for that. So, and there is a lot of improvement in this. We can improve this a lot. So it's like a new starting in the sound of the band. So it's like very, very happy and can't wait for the next album.
I have to ask you about the vocals as well, because I thought that's another important element of this album. Do you feel like the aggression in the vocals are they driven by the sound of the songs, or are they driven by the lyrical content of the tracks? What pushes the vocals? Because I felt like they were slightly different from track to track depending on how the song was going.
Yeah, I would say both. Both. Musically and technically, it's more aggressive because of the tuning itself. It's only half step down, but it made my voice like going a bit lower, and it took me like a couple of days to get used to this half step in the vocals. But at the same time, during the recording days, we were really pissed off about the global situation because of the pandemic and our jobs and the future and families and staff. So yeah, I remember that every day going to the studio, I was really pissed off. Sometimes I wasn't able to finish the song because I was really pissed off. Yeah, it's true. And sometimes what you're hearing, what you're listening, that scream or that growl are actually true. It's not fake. I mean, I never fake when I don't think that any singer fakes when they're singing like this. But that time I was really, really pissed off every day, and this is another thing that I would try to improve because I need to be pissed off from now on. Every time.
This
yeah,
is the
every time.
pissed off more often.
Yeah, of course. I didn't realize during the recording days, but I realize now. I mean, I listen right now, and it's like, wow, I'm really pissed off, and I can feel even the like bad emotions and the energy there. So I think it's a mix of everything like this. Yeah. There's no other thing that I didn't do anything different from other time. Okay, I quit smoking 4 years ago, and my voice is better, I think. But I didn't change anything in that. I think it was just angry.
Just upset at the world around you, and that came out in the record.
Yeah, completely. I think so. Yeah.
I feel that way as well. Well, Guillermo, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. It was an absolute pleasure and honor to sit here and talk to you about the new album, Angelus Apatrida, out already on February 5th.
Yeah.
Immediate.
Already.
You can pick it up.
Yeah, I think like the kind of actually there are some stores in the United States, and I think in Canada as well. There are some copies somewhere. But of course, that you get all these music streaming platforms. You get Spotify, you get Pandora, you get Tidal, Deezer, whatever, iTunes. You're there. So just
search for you guys and find it and pick it up. This is a great record, a really angry sounding album, but I love it. I love that. We need that kind of music now to help us get all of our anger out.
Yeah, of course.
In a safe kind of way.
Yeah, and then you get the previous albums, and there are more catchy, heavy metal melodic sounds. Yeah, there's a lot of other Angelus stuff, but this time it's time for being angry and got some kind of attitude against this fucking world.
I hear you, man. I'm with you 100%. Thank you very much for your time. All the best.
Thanks to you, Pedro. Thanks for your time. Hope to see you soon over there in Canada.
Take care.